How's it going? This is House Cat MMA, and right now I'm going to be going over my predictions for UFC 323. Hodor's also going to let you know what he thinks. But before him and I get into that, if you would just take a second to like and subscribe, I guarantee you that'll be the coolest thing you've done all day. All right, so now we got Muhammad Naimov versus Myron Santos. Namath has more of a hard-nosed striking style than Santos has, and Santos is a pretty good striker himself. But I just feel like Namath has more of a just in-your-face, put leather down your throat style, and Santos just does not. But Santos is very talented on the feet. But I'm going to say Namath by. I'm going to name off by some sort of decision. Now we got Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Tricoli. Malik has a style that's kind of like, it's what I like to call a motherfucker, I'm going to beat your ass style. Strong as shit, young man, physical specimen. He's very similar to, say, a Joe Piper. Not overly pretty with what he does, but he's just such a physical guy that he just gets shit done in there. And as far as Antonio Tricoli goes, he's a giant. Well, they're both big middleweights, but I didn't realize how big of a middleweight Tricoli was till I saw him just kind of standing around, being a cool guy. I was like, God, he must walk around at 217 pounds, 213, 217. Long guy. Hodor, you got to stop messing with my camera stand. And so both men are good fighters. I'm going to go ahead and say Mansour Abdul Malik wins by some sort of finish, though. I think Abdul Malik's going to do some cool shit in the UFC. Now we got Iwo Baranowski versus Ibo Aslan. Iwo is a judo guy, great on the ground. He's 6-0 with 6 first-round finishes, and he's about to make his UFC debut. He won his last fight on Dana White's Contender Series, and he's fighting Ibo Aslan, who is a man who is a pretty good mixed martial artist, but pretty standard, doesn't really stand out in any way. He kind of got bullied by Ian Cutelaba. And Ian Cutelaba, as much as I like him, he's a gatekeeper for the guys who are almost top 15. Like, if you beat him, you're almost top 15. And Ibo is just not that, and I think Iwo Baranowski is gonna finish him in the first round, kind of similar to how Ian Cutelaba did. Now we got Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. This is a battle of two tall lightweights. I like Edson being back at lightweight. I think he was too big for featherweight. I actually don't see how he made featherweight. Odo, were you going to make another cameo? What do you think about it? What do you think about the whole Edson Barboza situation? What? Don't say that. But Hodor just said some shit that I don't want to. Okay, buddy, I won't pick you up again, but you got to keep quiet while I'm in the middle of production. So Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. I don't know. Like, they're both coming off of 2 losses, and I would like to see Edson get another win in the UFC, keeping strong at 39, almost 40. And I think Jalen's best bet is to get it to the ground. Whether or not he'll be able to do that, I think I'm going to go, because if it stays on the feet, I don't know who I'm going to give the edge to, because Edson is he is aging a little bit. But I'm going to go Jalen Turner by decision. You're biting me and it hurts. You're biting me and it hurts. Now we got Marvin Vittori versus Bruno Ferreira. Vittori's struggled a little bit as of late. He's 1-4 in his last 5. He's got losses to Brendan Allen, Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier, and some Robin Delite. So all 4 losses, tough guys, all decision losses. Bruno Ferreira is a short, compact middleweight, punch you in the fucking mouth if he has to. I think Marvin's the more talented MMA fighter, and I think he's going to win this one by decision. But he might even finish him because Bruno's good, but he is susceptible to being knocked out. Now we got Nazim Sadikov versus Faraz Ziam. Sadikov is a durable, tough striker, and he must have took 86 punches against Nicholas Mata in this flurry at the beginning of the first round. And Faraz Ziam, he is Ziam? He's talented, pretty good striker, but I see Nazim getting this shit done fairly quick. Just something tells me that. Just watching them both fight. I mean, I'm wrong a lot, but I'm very confident in this whole Nazim Sadikov versus Faraz Ziam. Like, Nazim just has more ass than Ziam. Like, Ziam just doesn't seem very powerful to me. So yeah, Nazim, some kind of knockout. Maybe second round. Now we got Macy Barber versus Kaireen Silva. Macy Barber, strong hips, hard to take down, decent striker, brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, ranked number 5 right now. And now we got Kaireen Silva, who is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Macy Barber's a little better on the feet than Kaireen. So I think that Barber's going to win by some sort of decision. I think it's going to stay on the feet for the most part. I just think Macy's the stronger gal and just a little more talented on the feet. And now we got Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Terrence McKinney is an outstanding young man. All the talent in the world this young man has, but he lacks durability. Lucky for him, Chris Duncan is talented too, in his own right, but not very dangerous, I don't think. And that's what Terrence McKinney needs. He needs a guy that's not very dangerous so he can extend his win streak to 3, and I think he's going to do that. And I don't think he's going to make quick work of Chris Duncan, but I see him winning a decision perhaps. Now we got Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. And not to be confused with Miguel Torres. So Grant Dawson's going to out-wrestle any guy outside of the top 15. Manuel Torres got some pretty good striking, but I don't see him being able to catch Dawson. Dawson's pretty good about staying out of the way of strikes unless he's fighting Bobby Green. So yeah, Dawson by decision. Now we got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Bogdan Guskov's a cool guy. Cool guy, dangerous guy. He dressed like that Hitman fellow on that film and the presser because he looks a whole lot like him. Both men are pretty good strikers that are comfortable on the ground. I just think Guskov's a little more dangerous. And, you know, the age-old question is Jan Blachowicz gonna walk in that ring, in the octagon rather, and be 42, almost 43? If he does, it's going to be a rough night for him. Guskov will put him away. But if he is still Jan Blachowicz, I got Jan winning a close decision. Split, perhaps. Now we got Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Henry Cejudo struggles with guys that move very well. Dominic Cruz was giving him fits until he kneed Cruz in the head. Like he struggles until he's no longer struggling kind of thing. And Talbot is a guy that moves very well and has knockout power more than Cruz. So I don't know. I I see this fight going one of two ways. One way is Talbot just kind of out youths him and out moves him and kind of keeps away from the takedown and wins a semi-boring close decision. Or Henry Cejudo wrestle fucks him for 3 rounds. Or what if Cejudo knocks him out the way he did TJ Dillashaw? I don't really know, but if I have to choose, I'm going to go Cejudo via wrestle fucking. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Cejudo via good old-fashioned wrestle fucking, kind of like Josh Koscheck. Now we get Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Tairo. I don't see Tatsuro being good enough to strike with Moreno, and I don't see him being good enough at wrestling to take Moreno down. So I see this being an easy night for Moreno, but it's going to be a decision. I think Moreno's going to win a 30-27 decision. I think he's going to win quite handily, but I think Tatsuro is good enough to not get finished. Now we got Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. You know, at first I was like, Alexandre Pantoja is going to wrestle Joshua Van for 5 rounds. But then I got to thinking, what if Joshua Van is the flyweight John Jones? If he wins the belt, he'll be the second youngest champion in UFC history, 24. John Jones was 23, turning 24 when he won the light heavyweight belt. The first champion born after 1996. Definitely the first champion born in the 21st century. And something tells me that's going to happen. I mean, he threw Brandon Royval a beating. And Pantoja's better than Royval, a lot better than Royval, even though I do love Royval. But, I'm going to go Joshua Van by decision. Hide and watch. That's what's going to happen. Now we got Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. Merab is not a giant 135er, but he does cut a lot of weight. If that makes sense to you. He does cut weight, and he does it he just doesn't eat for some days before weigh-ins. He doesn't do no fancy sauna work or nothing. He just doesn't eat, doesn't drink water, and he runs. He looked sucking in at the presser. He looked borderline like hell. He didn't quite look like hell, but he almost looked like hell. So, and Petr Yan looked great. He looked great. Merab was being his normal, goofy, slightly confrontational self at the presser. But you could tell he's forcing himself to do it. But I don't think that changes anything. I think once he replenishes everything after weigh-ins, I see him being able to do his thing, go for about 97 takedowns, land a couple of them, and punch Petr Yan in the face about 61 times. I would like to see Petr Yan become a champion. Not by disqualification, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Merab's going to be champion for at least 2.5 more years. But yeah, exciting night of fights coming up. Pretty stacked card. Not the most stacked of the year, of course, but pretty stacked. I like it. I mean, hell, you got the damn curtain jerker, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Then you got Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Then you got Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Tairo. And you got Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. Then Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. I mean, that's a pretty goddamn good card. But that's all I have on that. I'll catch y'all Sunday morning with the recap. I'll catch y'all later.